Yo, Wagwan, hope you're having a great day. In this video, I want to share my thoughts on The Last of Us Part 2. I just finished it and I thought, what better time to make a video on it than after I finish it, because then it's still fresh in my mind, the feelings are still there, the thoughts, I don't know. We're just gonna get into it because I don't want to do like a full review. Usually when I do a review, there'll be gameplay and all that sort of stuff. That's not what's gonna happen here. I just want to kind of give my in-depth thoughts on the game, the story, and that sort of stuff. At first, I'm gonna keep it spoiler free for a little while, and then I'm gonna get deep into the spoilers, but I'll let you know when that's happening, just in case you are thinking about playing the game and you kind of want my perspective on it to know whether you should buy it or not. Now, let's get some things out of the way, first of all, okay? There's a lot of people who are saying Last of Us 2 is terrible. It's got terrible writing, terrible story, terrible gameplay. It's a terrible game, yeah? And then there's another camp saying Last of Us 2 is a masterpiece. It's great. It's like the peak of gaming. Neither of them are right, in my opinion, yeah? I think both of them are just in their camps and they're just trying to stick by the code of what their camp's saying, which is kind of ironic, seeing as The Last of Us is a lot about people and their camps and that sort of stuff. But besides the point, it's not the worst game ever and it's not the best game ever, okay? All right? Let's get that out of the way. Do I think you should buy it and play it? It depends. It depends on what type of thing you're looking for. Now, me personally, I went into The Last of Us 2 as someone who I wasn't a super fan of The Last of Us 1. I didn't really care about The Last of Us 1, and I didn't play it until like 5 years after it came out, probably something like that. I don't know the exact timing, but I got it because it was free with my PlayStation when I purchased it. It came with the digital version of The Last of Us. If that didn't happen, I wouldn't have ever played The Last of Us because I didn't really care about it like that, and it wasn't something that was on my mind. Now, when I did play The Last of Us, I got through it. I got through it, but it wasn't something that I was super excited to play. It wasn't something that I was like, "Oh, this is the greatest game ever." I did feel it was a little bit overrated because a bunch of people were saying how great it was, and there was all these, think pieces and whatnot about how great The Last of Us was. But at the end, when they made that end decision, and I guess I can spoil that because if you're watching The Last of Us 2 video, you probably played The Last of Us 1. When Joel basically makes that decision and starts gunning man down, and he turns from, grey to super grey, I guess. I don't know, because throughout the story, I guess he's a morally grey character, but he's pretty good up until that point. He's only really fighting back against people who are fighting him. But at that point, he turns into an anti-hero, yeah? And he does some fucked up stuff. And at that point, that's when I was like, okay, I get it. I get why people are saying this is, a masterpiece, this is a great game and that sort of stuff. Like, it made sense. The themes and stuff just came together and you could see why he did that. It made sense for him to do that in that moment, and it made sense for us to have that bittersweet ending. Bitter because, there's now no cure, but sweet because, Joel and Ellie get to go and live their lives and whatnot. Now, I was on the camp of I didn't think there needed to be a sequel, that was never a part in my mind. And when they announced The Last of Us 2 sequel, I was like, cool, I'll play it. But I wasn't like, oh, I need to play it. I wasn't super excited for it. I was like, yeah, I'll play it. We'll see what's happening. And then when I saw the reviews and I saw people saying it was great and people saying it was terrible and people saying, there's plot points where characters make terrible decisions, and I saw Skill Up compare some of the decisions to Game of Thrones Season 8, which if you know me, Game of Thrones Season 8 broke my heart. So that kind of made me be like, I'm not even going to buy that. I'm not even going to play that. I'm going to wait for Ghost of Tsushima. I think that's how you say it, Tsushima. But then I was like, I got the money. I can buy it. Let me play it and see what's up, because a lot of people have some strong opinions on it. And if I don't play it now, it's going to be spoiled by the time I do play it. So that was kind of the position I was forced into. But also, I'm a very... I really want to play a stealth game. Like, there's a drought of stealth games. There aren't a lot of stealth games that come out. So anytime I see a stealth game, my ears perk up, and I'm super excited to get into that and play it. So Last of Us is basically a stealth game. Now you can shoot people, you can kind of go wild, but rarely, because it's so survival focused and you don't really have a lot of ammo, you don't really have a lot of bullets. That's the same thing. You don't really have a lot of resources. It's better off to play it as stealth, and that's how I play it. So in terms of a stealth game, let's talk about gameplay a little bit. In terms of stealth game, it's pretty mid. Like, it's mid. It's an okay stealth game. Just like Last of Us 1 was an okay stealth game. Like, but it gives you the tension. It gives you the tension which is necessary in a stealth game, and it makes you have to use your brain and plan around things, which is pretty much all I ask for in a stealth game. Now, I did watch a few reviews, which honestly, I like to, if I'm doing a review or I'm talking about a game, I like to stay away from that sort of stuff. But, you know, in terms of making a purchasing decision, I did need to check out some reviews and whatnot. But today, I was listening to a podcast from Kind of Funny Games, and they was trying to compare Last of Us 2 to Metal Gear Solid 5. Now, if you hear someone compare Last of Us 2 to Metal Gear Solid 5, I want you to know that's some BS, okay? That's some straight up BS. Don't listen to them. It is nothing on the level of, in terms of gameplay, nothing on the level of Metal Gear Solid 5. Metal Gear Solid 5 is a prime stealth game. It's a stealth game first and foremost. That's what the fucking game is about. It's a stealth game, yeah? Last of Us 2 is a story game first and foremost, with stealth in there. Like, stealth is the gameplay, but it's a story game. Metal Gear Solid, there's just so many options at your disposal to get around stealth and to do certain stuff. In this game, it's basically, you know, sneak up, grab someone, stab them. Like, that's what you do. That's the game. You sneak up, stab them, or you throw a bottle, maybe throw a Molotov cocktail, maybe throw a brick in someone's face, run up on them, stab them. Or, you know, maybe shoot them with a silencer, shoot them with a bow. When I got the bow, that was a very happy time, to be honest. I like having bows in games. But the gameplay's okay? It's not the best gameplay, but it's not the worst gameplay. There were many times where it was super, super tense and intense. And, you know, I was down to my last bit of health or what have you. And, you know, I was almost dying, but I got out of it just by a little piece. And I love those moments. And there's a lot of those moments in this game, and it's done pretty well. Let me not circle the thirds, rule of thirds this up. There we go. So if you don't know what the rule of thirds is, Google it. So the gameplay was good, and it was fun, and it was very visceral, like people love to say about The Last of Us gameplay. And, you know, you felt those hits and all that sort of stuff, and it's quite violent and that. But, you know, I think it was like 24 hours or something, 24 hours into it, you know, the animations start getting a little bit samey. But to be honest, they do change it up a little bit, and some of that is a problem, to be honest, the way they change it up, the way they choose to change up the gameplay and the animations and stuff. They do it very, very wildly. Yeah, and we'll talk about that in this video. But I want to keep it non-spoiler for now. Let's just say, yeah, you know, let's not say that, because when you're playing through this game, it's better to come into it with fresh eyes and to not know anything. Okay, but I understand why some people are like, the marketing, false advertising, that sort of stuff. But I get why they did it, and I'm cool with why they did that and why they maybe made you think you was getting something and gave you something else. I'm cool with that. That's perfectly fine. The execution was wrong. That's what I'm not fine with. The execution was tedious. The execution was mediocre. That's what I'm not cool with, okay? And we'll get into that, so stay tuned. So, gameplay's cool, yeah? Gameplay was tense. Gameplay was cool, fighting infected, and fighting the people, them, and that sort of stuff. Like, it's basically the same as Last of Us 1, just a little bit more polished, and now you can go prone, so you got more options in combat, and the level design's really, really good. I've seen that in a bunch of reviews, and I agree with it, to be honest. Level design was great. There's loads of routes for you to go through, loads of choices that you can make in each combat scenario, as well as when, you know, you're in these walking sections, which there are a few of them. you're able to, go down a few different paths. It's kind of like Uncharted 4, where they had two different paths and they led to the same point, okay? So that's all good stuff, gameplay, all right? I think we can get off gameplay now. We don't really need to talk about that. We'll circle back around after we get into the spoilers because, some of that is relevant. The story, yeah? Let's talk about the story, which is the main reason why I came to play this game. Like, I did come to play this game because it's a stealth game, of course. But I also came to play this game because I have been hankering for a good story-focused game that was going to grip me and pull me in for a little while. And I haven't found that for a while, actually. So this was something that I gave the chance to grip me and pull me in. Now, did I want to know what happened next? Yes. So that's a success to me, personally. I wanted to know what happened next, and I wanted to continue playing to see how things ended up. Now, is some of that because of the hype and because, people are saying how terrible it is? Yes. And because people are saying how much of a masterpiece it is? Yes. And because it's probably going to get spoiled if I don't finish it ASAP? Yes. So those factors do play a part. So keep that in mind. Now, in a variety of reviews, I saw that people were saying that some characters just make some terrible decisions, yeah? And not terrible decisions in the way that, you watch a horror movie and someone makes a really bad decision that leads to them dying and you're like, well, that was a shitty decision. I'm talking about terrible decisions where it's like, I don't think that character will do that, or you haven't justified why that character will do that. Like Season 8 Game of Thrones, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about, but I still can't spoil it for you because you might, want to enjoy 6 seasons of Game of Thrones. You never know. So basically, yeah, that happened. That happened with 2 characters, and it happened on about 4 occasions. Now, a few of those occasions didn't, one of the occasions didn't really lead, 4 occasions? Yeah. One of those occasions didn't really lead to anything, so it didn't really matter that much. 3 of those occasions led to some of the most drawn out sections that just weren't necessary at all. And because those sections came from the result of a terrible decision that it didn't seem like this character would make, it made those sections even more grueling, okay? And it's kind of like when, they've got when you watch a law show and they say, the evidence is from the poison vine or whatever, like fruit of the poison vine or poison tree or whatever. Like, because it started out with a terrible decision all through those sections, I'm like, come on, let me just get back to the stuff that I enjoy, okay? So there's about 12, 13 hours of the game which just drag, okay? Let me be more generous, yeah? 4 of those hours don't drag. 4 of those hours are perfectly fine. I think I could even justify 6 of the hours, yeah? Because I get what they're trying to do, I get what they're building up to, and all that sort of stuff. So I understand why that was necessary, but there was a bit too much. It was kind of overindulgent at a point, and I still get what they were trying to do, but I don't think it was necessary to get to where we wanted to get to. And it was just super annoying, okay? And I'm going to talk about that in more depth when we get into spoilers. So, story, it was okay. It was okay. It wasn't terrible, and it wasn't great. It had a very bitter ending. It had a bunch of, terrible things happen to characters and whatnot. Some parts had me, tearing up. I think only one part made me actually shed a tear. And, if you've seen spoilers, you probably know what that part is. The rest of the parts, I didn't really mind, to be honest, because I don't really get emotionally drawn into games like that. I guess sometimes I do, but they didn't draw me in that much to where the tears actually dropped out. There was another point where, I could feel the tears in my eyes, but they didn't actually come out, which I still give them props for that. That's still, that's a good achievement still. So it was okay story. It had some twists and turns, and I didn't know exactly where it was going to go next. And I was I really wanted to know where it was gonna go next. I played it like, what is it? I got it on Friday. It's now Tuesday. I played it pretty much every day since then. Obviously, I worked on certain days, so I played like maybe 4 hours on Monday or whatever. So I played it, 4 days straight. Okay, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed getting through the story and getting to the end and just experiencing that and seeing what they were trying to do and experiencing the art that they created. Like, this is a piece of art, and I get why now. I understand why certain people say, you know, this type of story can only be told in a game. Not specifically for The Last of Us 2, because I haven't heard anyone say that, but in general, when people say that about games, this is the kind of story that could have been told in a film, to be honest. But the way that they told it in this game, and the way that they're trying to tug at your emotions and to get you to feel for certain characters and all that sort of stuff, was interesting. And I got to give them props for that. And I understand why they were doing certain things, and I understand what type of feelings they were trying to give me and what they were trying to lead me towards. And there's a lot of parallels between Last of Us 1 and Last of Us 2. And yeah, I think that's all I can really say before we get into spoilers. But if you're thinking about getting it and you really like Last of Us 1, then honestly, if you really like Last of Us 1, but you can kind of detach from your love for Last of Us 1 and just enjoy this as the story that the creators wanted to tell, not the story that you expect and the story that you want to happen, then get it. But if you're like, no, I know what I want this type of story, and if I don't get it, I'm gonna be upset, leave this alone. Just leave it alone. If you didn't like the gameplay in Last of Us 1, I wouldn't even say don't even bother getting this, because I don't think it's going to change your mind and be like, yeah, you know, this is going to make you a fan now. If you didn't like Last of Us 1, you probably won't like Last of Us 2. But then again, you might. But I don't think it's worth getting it right now at the price that it's at if you didn't like Last of Us 1, because that's just a bit wild. Now, spoiler section. Let's get into spoilers. Before we get into spoilers, if you got any comments or questions or what have you, and you want to discuss the game without spoilers, leave your comments down below. Now, obviously, I want the discussion with spoilers, but please leave like a star and spoiler next to your comment, and do some enter tabs down so other people don't get spoiled, because we don't want to spoil people's experience of the story and experience of the game, and that's a terrible thing to do. All right, spoilers, okay? Spoilers from here on out, so don't moan if things get spoiled. I'm getting into there right now, okay? You had your chance. I've said spoilers like 4 times. Let's get into it. So, Joel dies, all right? I saw this in a spoiler, but in that spoiler, it also said Ellie dies. Ellie does not die, okay? Spoilers, okay? Told you there were spoilers. Spoilers for your head top, cuz. So, alright. Joel dies. I saw another spoiler when I was actually playing the game, which is a little bit annoying. They said something about golf course or something. But, you know, he gets killed with a golf club, and people have been memeing it and saying how Joel deserved better and whatnot and all this sort of stuff. But I get why they killed him, because they needed to kill someone who rarely gave us an emotional reaction, a real emotional reaction. And Joel, honestly, was the best character to do that. I would have preferred it if they just killed his brother, because obviously didn't really care about his brother that much. But it would have allowed Joel to be involved in this story. Joel's not involved in this story whatsoever, okay? And that, for people who came into this expecting to have a part 2 to that Joel and Ellie adventure, which the first trailer that I watched, it had Joel pop up out the shadow, and he was like, you think I was going to let you do this alone? So I get it. I get why people are like, what? No, Joel, you fucking bastards. You bamboozled us. I get it, okay? But I also get why they did that. They wanted you to think that it was going to be that, so that they could pull the rug out from under you and show you, no, Joel's dead now. Now you need to go on this adventure to hunt down the woman that killed Joel and hunt down these other people that killed Joel. Now, in the beginning, as soon as Joel died, as soon as I started playing as Abby, like, because you play as Abby at the beginning, I was like, okay, I get No, I was like, she's probably going to do something. Like, she's probably looking for Joel. When they said he's in there and all that sort of stuff, I thought she meant Joel. Later on, we find out she meant Joel's brother, but she was looking for Joel. So I knew I was playing as someone who had ill intentions towards Joel. Yeah, so I wasn't super happy about that. I kind of, didn't mind letting her die and that sort of shit. That comes up in the later half of the game. We'll talk about that, but Joel basically got killed, and at that point, I thought, okay, this is comeuppance from the end of Last of Us 1, innit? Because the only real canonical badness that Joel did was, as far as I remember, was killing all those fireflies and all those, heavily armed people at the end of Last of Us 1. Which I didn't even know were fireflies. I just thought they were just some sort of military thing that was working with the fireflies. But now we find out that they actually are fireflies, okay? So when I saw that and I saw WLF, I thought the F standing for fireflies, but then it was like, nah, it stands for Washington Liberation Front or something like that. So I was like, all right then, okay. What's this then? Let's see if it turns out to be the fireflies again. And, lo and behold, it did. But a lot of people are upset about the fact that Joel died. That was the part where I actually shed a man tear. But I wasn't super up. I didn't feel like, they ruined the game and that sort of stuff. I was still excited to play as Ellie and to go on this adventure and murk everyone who was fucking involved. Like, that was the vibe I was on. I was on murking man, yeah? So, a couple hours of murking man. Fun times. Hanging out with Dina and that. Fun times, yeah? I didn't think that it was especially bad writing between Dina and Ellie and whatnot. I didn't really care about the Jesse dude. Like, he didn't really play a big part in the story to me personally. So when he got capped, it was like, okay. But it was a bit like, oh, what? Like, that was a bit sudden. But still, I was like, don't really give a shit about this dude. Like, if he gets capped, he gets capped, innit? So, yeah. The first big decision that didn't make sense to me personally, and I don't feel like Ellie would have done that, was when Jesse was like, I'm going to go get Tommy. Are you coming with me? And she was like, no, I'm going to go after Abby, yeah? That didn't make sense to me. Or was it Leah? I'm not 100% sure. She was going after someone. That, I don't think she would have done that. But then again, that led to nothing, okay? Tommy still showed up, Jesse showed up, they all got together, everything was happy, so I wasn't too upset about that, yeah? Then, the story moves forward, and, she kills the pregnant woman, she kills the other guy who we find out was pretty good guy, to be honest. It was pretty good vibes. Didn't really care about that at the time. It was like, okay, she's an op, innit? Like, this woman's pregnant, yeah, terrible for the baby, but the mum was an op, so like, what am I gonna do? Cry about it? She was an op. She came down there to murder Joel, innit? She travelled all that while to murder Joel, and later on we find out she wasn't 100% on it and all that sort of stuff. Which, I rate them for that. For them fleshing out these characters and kind of making you retroactively look back and be like, okay, some of those, we're not the best, like. Ellie isn't the best person, right? And that's the same with Last of Us 1. You obviously, in Last of Us 1, at the end of it, you realize Joel isn't the best person. He just murdered a bunch of people, okay? That's terrible stuff, and stopped the world from having a chance at a cure because he was emotionally invested in this young lady who he saw as like a daughter figure. Which is fair enough, like, I get why he did it, but that doesn't make him a good guy, okay? So I get why they ran up on him and murdered him in this one, because he did some fucked up shit and he killed a lot of people. Like, he got what he deserved, basically. And the whole essence of this story in Last of Us 2 is basically painting everyone as great and being like, everyone does things for certain reasons, yeah? And you may not understand it at first, but they have their own reasons, they have their own stories, they have their own lives. Everyone's got their own version of the story. And in one of my songs, which might be out by the time you watch this, I don't know when I'm going to put this out. I'm going to put this out ASAP, actually. I'm going to put it out tomorrow. So in one of my songs, which is coming out this week, called Tony Montana, I say, nobody thinks they're the villain, yeah? Which is very true. No one thinks they're the villain. Everyone thinks they're the hero of their own story. And everyone thinks that, anyone who's having actions that hurt them is the villain of their story, okay? So Ellie thought Abby was the villain. Abby thought Joel was the villain. The WLF thinks the Seraphites are the villain. The Seraphites think the WLF are the villain. And then at the end, we've got slave runners who are, I guess, just straight up villains. Okay? So that's basically the essence of the story. Now, the essence of the story, in my opinion, was to just show you things from different perspectives and to show us our characters in the light and to be like, okay, everything's not black and white. Just because, Ellie thinks that she's righteous in this journey and she's righteous in what she's trying to do doesn't mean she actually is, okay? And they showed us that. They showed us, she killed these people who maybe they weren't super into murdering Joel. Maybe they had dreams, they had other things that they wanted to do and that sort of stuff, which they did, especially, I don't even know these guys. I swear his name was Matt or something. The guy who Abby was trying to get with, I swear his name's Matt. I don't know. For some reason, I think his name's Matt. But whoever that dude was, Abby and him, they had like a little thing. And also the pregnant woman had a thing. Well, she had a baby with him. And yeah, he wanted to leave the WLF to go to search for the Fireflies and to just get away from all this sort of stuff. And he was kind of tired of all the fighting and all the murder and all the badness, innit? But because he went down to go murder Joel, he's then stirred up her next madness, which has led people to come around and to murder him. So, you reap what you sow, I guess. But he was there saying, no, don't kill the girl and all this sort of stuff. We came to do what we did. And he was trying to be a nice dude. But that didn't mean much in the end. Now, I feel like I'm kind of rambling on about these plot points right about now. So let's move forward, okay? So the first bad decision was from Ellie. Then we get to basically Ellie and she meets up with Abby for the first time since Abby killed Joel, okay? So we see Ellie and Abby at this point looks yoked, yeah? She is jacked. She's got arms like mine, yeah? Maybe even bigger, I don't know, but she is jacked, okay? And when I first saw it, I was like, wow, she is jacked. And then you play as her, and I think at first you're just playing as the younger her who goes through the hospital at the end of Last of Us 1 and finds her dad dead, who's basically, well, is that might be after. Anyways, you play as her and she's not jacked and then she's jacked and happy times, whatever. When you play as her, she's basically the Joel of this game, okay? And they do that in a bunch of different ways. First of all, her gameplay is like Joel in The Last of Us 1. She's punching up dudes. When you play as Ellie don't punch up dudes. She stabs dudes because she's always rolling with her switch knife, which I did like. I liked that. I liked that as a change from Last of Us 1 so that I didn't have to craft shivs anymore because that's fucking annoying, yeah? I liked that she came prepared. It didn't make sense that this woman who's jacked, yeah, so she's done a lot of training, and throughout her story you see she's really committed to training and all that sort of stuff, and she's in like this pseudo army type base or type camp, and she doesn't roll out with a knife. What? That just seems unprepared. Why wouldn't you do that? That makes no sense to me, okay? But Ellie's at it with a knife. Like, come on, like everyone should roll with knives, okay? That doesn't make sense from a story perspective. I get in terms of gameplay, they're kind of bringing you back to Last of Us 1 vibes with that gameplay and with you crafting shivs and that sort of stuff. Another thing that I want to complain about in terms of gameplay before we move forward with the story is for the first half of the game, you play as Ellie, yeah? Then you play as Abby for more than you play as Ellie, I believe, which is already red flag. Terrible stuff. They shouldn't have done that, yeah? But we'll get into that in a little bit. The most annoying thing from that experience at the time was that I had played with Ellie. I had gotten, the bow and this weapon and that weapon. I'd later seen that you could have got nail grenades that I never got, I never found, unfortunately. Or maybe you can't get nail grenades. I'm pretty sure you can, but I didn't get nail grenades. Anyways, I upgraded Ellie in certain things, so I had a quick stealth takedown that I only got to use like once. Only got to see it once, and then all of a sudden, done. We're not playing as her anymore. And then, you play as Abby for a little while, which you think is just a small tangent like they did at the beginning of the game. You don't think it's going to be much. Kind of like when you played as Ellie in Last of Us 1. It's probably not going to be the rest of the game, right? And then you play as her for like 16 hours. And you get the upgrade tree and now you're upgrading her and it's just like, oh, come on. I saw some tweet from a dude where it said, like, when he saw the upgrade tree, he knew he was going to be playing as her for the long haul, basically. He knew he was going to be playing as her for ages. And his face was not happy. And I was not happy when that happened. Like, if they gave us 6 hours of that, I might as well talk about it now. If they gave us 6 hours of playing as Abby and getting through a storyline, then that would have been perfectly fine, okay? Perfectly fine. I would have been super happy with that. I would have thought that was a well-deserved tangent. I would have thought that it was smooth and slick and didn't waste my time and gave me enough insight into the character and into the characters around that character to make me care more for the people who have just been murdering all this time, as well as care a little bit more for Abby, although you kind of can't like her because she's murdered Joel in like the beginning of the game. So you're not going to like her. You're not going to think she's a great person. And they make some weird choices that I don't think she would make in order to make you like her. And let's talk about that, okay? So you play as Abby, yeah? You play as Abby for, it seems like, the majority of the game. I did go, like, after you play as Abby, you do get to play as Ellie again, and it does seem like maybe that rounds it out. Maybe it does. Maybe it's equal because you get to play as Ellie again, but really it feels like I was playing as Abby forever, okay? And that was annoying, because I came to this game to play as Ellie, yeah? I get why they didn't market it as, you played as Abby. I get why they didn't want reviewers to say that you play as Abby and that sort of stuff. Because it's a surprise, and it would have been a welcome surprise if it lasted 6 hours. I would love to play more games from the perspective of the villain. I think that's a great idea. I think it's a great thing to do. And I love playing as villains in general in games. So I'm not adverse to that whatsoever. I enjoy that. But it was just too long, and it stretched out from decisions that it doesn't make sense for that character to make. So let's talk about that. The first decision it didn't make sense for the character to make was when Abby woke up in the middle of the night and went to go and save the Seraphite children. I'm not going to call them scars because that's racist, yeah? Not racist, but it's prejudice from the WLF. Like, obviously, they refer to them as scars, which isn't what they call themselves. They call themselves Seraphites, innit? So Abby woke up in the middle of the night to go and save 2 children from the rival tribe, yeah? The rival camp who they've been at war with for a while, I guess. That don't make sense to me. That don't make sense. She's already saved them, yeah? She already saved them after they saved her. She saved them, get paid, yeah? Then she told them, move from this place. Do not stay here too long. Move before morning, yeah? And I guess she goes there before morning. I'm not 100% sure. But she wakes up and she goes to go save them, to go check on them, to go see Wagwan. I don't see her doing that. That doesn't make sense to me. But then later on in the story, they kind of paint it out as she kind of wants to redeem herself. She kind of wants to be a better person. But they don't really build that up. They don't really build it up. She just kind of says it. She just kind of says, oh, I needed to do this and that sort of stuff. Like, why? What's the bad stuff that she did? She was like the top scar killer. Like, but does that make her a bad person? Because she doesn't seem like she empathized with the Seraphites that much. I might as well just call them scars so I don't confuse you. She doesn't seem like she empathized with the scars that much before this. So I don't get why she's all of a sudden she feels like she needs to redeem herself. Like the only thing that she did that was fucked up was kill Joel in front of his pseudo daughter. Like that's really the only thing she did that was kind of fucked up in like the story as they tell us. What else did she do? Like, if you know what else she did, comment down below. Like, otherwise, she's just been a soldier. She's just been training like mad, yeah? She's obviously been training like mad because it seems like it's hard for women to get yoked like that, yeah? She is jacked, yeah? She's been training like mad for like 5, I think it's like 4 years, yeah? So that she can go and mash up Joe. That has been her reason for living for a little while, okay? And it seems like in that process, she's just been a soldier. Like, she hasn't really done anything super fucked up. So I don't get why she needs to redeem herself. That really doesn't make sense. In her mind, what has she done that makes her need to redeem herself? Now, that other girl, I forgot what her name is, the pregnant one on their side, on the WLF side, she was like, you know, you're a fucked up person or whatnot, you're an arsehole, and I don't believe your act, okay? But they didn't really go any deeper into showing why Abby was an arsehole. Like, from their perspective. From our perspective, she's an arsehole because she killed Joe. But from their perspective, why is she an arsehole? What, because she killed Joe with a golf club? First of all, I don't get why she did it with a golf club. That doesn't really make sense to me. Joel didn't kill her dad with a golf club. Joel just shot him. I know because I was Joel. And I shot that bastard because he came at me with a knife. You don't have a choice. He comes at you with a knife. But I don't get it. Why the golf club? I don't get why she did that to just make it, to savor it, I guess. That was a bit fucked up, okay. But other than that, she just seems like, you know, she was just getting her revenge. She didn't seem like she was doing anything particularly wrong. Okay, so I don't get why she would then go to try and save these kids, okay? First mistake, yeah, in writing, because it doesn't really make sense with the character, and I don't believe they justified it later on. Second mistake with the character is they what did they do? She went to the hospital to get ingredients to save the girl Scar's arm, yeah? Why would she do that? Why wouldn't she just let the doctor just try it? Just try the thing. Why would she go to the hospital and risk all this? Like, if you play the game and you play through this part, she went through a bunch of fucking risks. She went through infected. She went through scars. She went through her own people. She didn't actually kill any of her own people, but she went through them to basically... Did she kill any of her own people at that point in time? No. She went through them, like, tried to sneak by them and that sort of stuff. And then she got captured. And then she went down into, like, the basement of the hospital and fought this big, disgusting, infected boss thing. Like, she went through all that to get medicine to save this little girl's arm. Why? She's an enemy. Why? Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense, okay? Doesn't make any sense for her to do that, yeah? And I don't see any justifications for that at all, yeah? When Joel was going through what he was doing to save Ellie and to bring Ellie to where he was bringing her, I forgot exactly where he was bringing her, but when he went through that, yeah, he had a reason. He was getting paid. I think he was getting guns or something. He had a real reason to do that. And along the line, he formed an emotional connection because she reminded him of his daughter that he'd lost way back. That made sense, okay? The story of Last of Us 1 was just way more concise and way stronger, way cleaner than this story. This story is a bit all over the gaff because they're just trying to get characters to where they need to be, kind of like season 8 Game of Thrones. So this is a bit upsetting. So I don't believe she would have went to the hospital and went through all that naff things just to save this little girl's arm, okay? Then when she saves the little girl's arm, then what happens? It's not over yet. I thought, okay, let's get back to Ellie now. No, it's not over yet. Now she goes after the little boy. She goes after the boy that went back to the village to go try chat to the mum. Like a clown. When his sister already said, yo, the mum ain't gonna be down for that. The mum's gonna try and murk you, cuz. Leave her alone, yeah? He runs off and goes to the village to try and chat to the mum and that sort of shit. Silly. I don't see her going after him. I don't see her doing that. I mean, at this point, she's invested so much in them, like, maybe she'd do that at that point. But all the actions that led her there didn't make sense, so it didn't feel like this was justified either, okay? Now, after that, if you look past that and you see what they're trying to do, what they were basically trying to do was turn her into Joel from The Last of Us 1. So they created a lot of parallels with that. Her shepherding some kids, basically. Her taking care of these kids and making sure that they're safe and basically caring for them and caring about them. That is what they did with that character. And after the girl died and it was only the boy left, like, it became a kind of, what's the word? It's like, it's the exact parallel of Last of Us 1, but instead of a father figure with a daughter figure, now it's a mother, a jacked mother figure with a, son figure. That doesn't sound as good as daughter figure. Maybe because there's two syllables in one. Basically, you know what I'm saying. It. So they kind of flip that on his head. But it's basically the same damn thing. And that's okay. It's okay for them to do that. They just should have done it quicker. They shouldn't have taken so long. There shouldn't have been all those gameplay sections that I went through in order to get there. I feel like, honestly, let's be real. A lot of those gameplay sections to the end of the Abby arc were good ideas in terms of gameplay. Like Tommy shooting at us and us having to move from car to car while dodging infected, that was great in terms of gameplay. Yeah, I think there was another section that I've forgotten about. Where the Scars and the WLF were fighting each other. That was great in terms of gameplay. Yeah. Was there something else? I don't know. Maybe there was something else, but it's off my mind right about now. But there was actually good gameplay there. I just didn't want to do it as Abby. I didn't want to do it as Abby. I had been Abby for long enough. I didn't come to this game to play as Abby. I get why they forced me in their shoes, but I didn't want to be Abby any longer because it just seemed like we put the story on hold. Like, Abby was just about to have a showdown with Ellie, and now we've got a 10+ hour detour before we get back to that. That is bad storytelling. You don't create a cliffhanger and take 10+ hours to come back to address it. Now, I get that, we then saw Abby's journey to that point. I get that. But they should have done it in 6 hours. They shouldn't have done it in like 12 hours that they did. I think that was far too long. And it felt like it was dragging. Even though I was enjoying some of the gameplay aspects, I was super upset that I didn't have my bow that I was working on getting good at. I didn't have, my knife. I had to craft shivs. I had to do all that sort of stuff. I just liked playing as Ellie because I felt like I was a little bit more helpless and all that sort of stuff. And I felt like, I was playing as Ellie, innit? I felt like I was playing as the immune young girl from the first one. Like, that was the attraction of playing this game. So being jacked Abby was cool for a few hours because it was basically like Joel from the first game, but I played the first game. I don't need to play that again here, if you get what I'm saying. So a few decisions that just didn't make sense in terms of Abby. So, I get where they were trying to go with her character and how they were trying to make you feel for her and how they were trying to make you see her as. But honestly, I don't know. Like, by the end of it, I saw the parallels that they were trying to draw, and I can understand why, super spoiler alert, at the end, Ellie let her live because she saw Joel in Abby, because Abby had, first of all, like, the first thing that she done when she got cut down from that pole is she saved the boy. And then, like, she didn't want to fight Ellie because all she wanted to do was save the boy. Okay? So I get that. I get what they were trying to do. I get the perspective they were trying to give to us. I understand that, giving us time with Abby and time playing as her makes us feel for her more because we are actively trying to stop her from dying. But honestly, a bunch of the times when I saw her die, I was like, yes. I was like, yes. Especially when I was fighting against Ellie. I was like, yes. I was like, this is the end. This is the ending. Because, maybe I let Ellie shoot me in the face with a shotgun a couple times. So that's that, yeah? I think that's pretty much the story. There may be some other things that we could discuss, but I don't think it's necessary. I think basically, they were drawing a parallel from Abby and Lev to Joel and Ellie from the first game, okay? So that was the parallel that I was trying to draw, and they did it. They did that. The journey there wasn't perfect. There were a lot of bad decisions that just didn't make sense from those characters. And when Abby just started fighting against the WLF, that was another decision I don't think she would have made. Like when the WLF killed or hit the sister of Lev, and then Abby, kind of was trying to tell them to stop. Fair enough, I think she would have done that. But after they killed Isaac and then the WLF killed the girl, I don't see Abby just being like, okay, now I'm on the other side. How does that make sense? Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just be like, okay, I'm on your side, let's chill, but chill out on this young one, like he doesn't want to be a Scar anymore. What like, I don't get it. And then when she was like, you're my people, I didn't buy that either. Like, what kind of... You've been with these people, yeah? These WLF people for like at least 3 years, yeah? It might be 4 years, but at least 3 years you've been with them, okay? They're your people. You've been with these two Scar kids for what? 2 days? And now they're your people. Or 3 days even. And now you're saying they're your people and you want to choose them over the heavily armed squad in front of you. You want to choose this kid with the bow and be on his side. Doesn't make sense to me. It just seems like a shitty decision. Even if you wanted to protect this kid, it just seems like a shitty decision. But as I said, I get where they were trying to go in it. I get where they were trying to go. Then we get to play as Ellie again, which was great. You have her, what it seems like is going to be a bittersweet ending where, she's chilling out with Dina and the baby. And, there's beautiful views. And then she has a panic attack about Joel and seeing Joel being beat up to a pulp and that sort of stuff, which brought back the feelings. So I was like, ooh, they murdered Joel still. And I get that she couldn't let it go. She couldn't let it go because it was a wild, terrible thing that happened to Joel. And as long as she let it go, she wasn't going to get over it. I get it. And Tommy came by and gave her the info she needed and all that sort of stuff. So I get her leaving. She shouldn't have done it, but I get her doing that, yeah? And then, she goes through, the slave run-ins and all that sort of stuff, which is like a side story that didn't really mean much, to be honest, because you don't really see any insight into them. They're just kind of doing slavery for some reason. And she finds Abby, who's on a pole. She could have just shot Abby there and then and be like, okay, now it's done. But, she's honorable. she wants to have a fight with half jacked Abby, because now she's been starving for a few months. She's not as jacked as she once was, yeah? But you can still see her vein popping out, so she's still jacked, okay? So she fights Abby. She drops the knife in the fight, and then, she's strangling Abby, and then she has a flashback to Joel on the porch with his guitar. And at this point in time, you don't really know what that means, but you get that she's seeing Abby as Joel, innit? She's seeing that Abby's in a similar position to what Joel was in. Abby's trying to protect this dude, and she's trying to, be a good mother type figure, okay? So I guess Ellie empathizes with that and lets her go, which is fair enough. But she honestly did all of this whole journey, yeah, killed all these people, got all these people killed for nothing. Another thing that happened, let me just quickly touch on this, is I swear Tommy got shot in the head by Abby, yeah? I swear he got shot in the head twice, yeah? I swear at the beginning of the game, he got shot in the head, yeah? And then he came back, like, that didn't happen. I don't know if maybe I missaw that, but I'm 90% sure that at the end of the game, not at the end, but like when you come back with Abby to that part where they was having their showdown with Ellie and Abby, at that point in the game, Abby shot Tommy in the face, yeah? But for some reason, his leg's hurting and his face is fine and he's still alive. What? I thought he was dead. Honestly, it would have been a bigger impact if he was dead. I'm happy that he's alive, but I don't get why. I get why he was alive, so that he could bring the map and all that sort of stuff. Maybe they just didn't edit that properly or edit that out, because I swear he got shot in the head. Let me know in the comment section down below if he didn't get shot in the head, or if you got screenshots or whatever. Tweet me them so I can see what actually happened. So yeah, at the end she lets Abby go, and then we see the flashback with Joel. Like, before this, we think that, you know, Ellie and Joel have left off on a really bad note. Like, Ellie's like super pissed at Joel and all that sort of stuff. But in reality, what actually happened that they didn't show us until the fucking end of the game is that Ellie was saying how she doesn't think she can ever forgive Joel, but she wants to try to. Like, she came and had a little convo with him and kind of, you know, had a little heart to heart. Like, she said she was upset that her life doesn't mean anything now. He should have let her die in the hospital so he could have had the cure. Joe was like, you know, if I could do it again, I'd do it fucking again, cuz I'd shoot up all them, man. Basically, like, didn't say it like that, but you know, that's what he was feeling. And like, you see that they were on their way to mend their relationship, which, you know, maybe tears were kind of half back in my eyes, but they didn't come out to the front or anything like that. I didn't drop a man tear, but the emotions came, and I was like, oh, they're never gonna get to, you know, give it a chance and try to mend that relationship and be good guys. And at that point, I kind of missed Joel. I was like, that's a shame, man. I wish I had more Joel in this game, to be honest. There wasn't a lot of Joel. Like, you did see a couple flashbacks of Joel, which was nice, but then you spent like 12 hours of the game in Abby and Abby's people and all that sort of stuff, which honestly wasn't super interested in. I understand why they did it again, but I do think they should have had more Joel in this. They definitely should have had more Joel. Maybe even just let us go on a little adventure with Joel for a little while before they kill him. Like, I don't think they should have killed him before we had the chance to appreciate him or do anything with him. It would have made sense if we went out on some sort of mission with Joel because there was some sort of problem back at the base and we had to go out with Joel, and then, you know, or maybe we were just on a patrol with Joel and then we ran across Abby and all that sort of stuff went down. That would have been better because we would have at least played as Ellie with Joel. Now, instead, we get to play as Abby with Joel, which is, you know, not great stuff. Not great stuff. And I see why people would complain. Okay, so that's basically the story. Now, I do think there are going to be people who are going to be just mad at the game for being progressive. Like, they have a trans character, they have lesbian characters, they have... I think that's all, to be honest. Yeah, that's pretty much all the progressive stuff there. Oh, and they have a strong female lead. They have a jacked woman that you play as. So they have that, okay? And I see some people being upset at the game because of that. You're a dumbass if you're upset at the game because of that. Like, that's just silly. Those things don't really... Well, honestly, they do impact the story. The jacked woman impacts the story because everyone refers to her as being jacked. And you can clearly see that she spent the 4 years training. The trans character impacts the story because he left the base because he was trans and he didn't want to be a girl and he wanted to cut his hair, and that's why the scars are after him. And the lesbian stuff does tie into the story because Ellie, is with Dina and all that sort of stuff. So I guess those things tie into the story, and it would be a different story without it, but it wouldn't be a better story for them to take it out. Like, that wouldn't make the story inherently better. Like, those things don't make the story bad. So if you're upset about that, then you're just a bit of a dick. You're a bit of a bigot, to be honest. But I do think that people will create a strawman argument and say that everyone that dislikes the game is on that vibe and they just don't like it because they're homophobic, they're transphobic, all that sort of stuff. I don't believe that's the case. Or misogynistic. I don't believe that's the case. I believe that a lot of people are going to dislike this a lot because of the Abby section is far too long. That was bad. That was bad in terms of game design. If they wanted us to play as Abby for that long, they should have broken it up and let me be Ellie doing something else, man. Because that was almost heartbreaking. Like, it was very, very... made me feel as though there was no hope. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be playing as this boy forever. And you don't want to. But I understand they wanted to make you feel for her. And the longer you play as her, the more you identify as her because you're playing as her and you're trying to keep her alive and you're trying to preserve her life and all that sort of stuff. I get it in terms of gameplay and in terms of kind of manipulating the player to feel something, okay? I get it in terms of the storytelling. I just don't think it was executed correctly. I think it was too long. I think it should have been more potent, meaning they should have gotten all those story threads in a smaller section and made it quicker, and also not made all those mistakes with the storytelling, making this character do things that it doesn't make sense for them to do. It should have been more natural and it should have been written better. Like, someone should have looked over that and been like, would she do this? Someone in the writing room should have done that, but no one did that. Like, they just went ahead with it, which I think is gross, to be honest. So I see people being upset at that. I see people being upset at the end because they let Abby get away. After all that, this person that killed Joel gets to get away. I understand people being upset about that. I think people will be upset just because they really liked Joel and they liked the first game and they were really invested in that. And they basically, what a lot of people wanted from Last of Us 2, in my opinion, I haven't even asked anyone, but what I think a lot of people wanted from Last of Us 2 is they wanted more Last of Us 1. They wanted another buddy adventure. They wanted another adventure with Joel and Ellie, but this time being Ellie, which is what was kind of sold to us in the marketing, because we saw Joel saying, you thought I was going to let you do this alone. And it seemed like Ellie was going to be on her adventure and Joel would be tagging on. And that would have been some fun. Now, I'm not super upset that we didn't get that, but I see why some people would. And I think it was very brave what they did with the story. I think it was very ambitious what they did with the story. And I like what they tried to do. I like what they tried to do, what they attempted. I think it was very, very good. Like, allowing us to see things from the villain's perspective, giving us extended time with that villain, all that sort of stuff. I think that was good. And the way they're trying to show that everyone's great. Everyone's got their own story. No one's the villain. Everyone's got their own reasons why they're doing things. And revenge just leads to more revenge. And now everyone's trying to get revenge and all this sort of stuff. I get what they was trying to do. I like that. I just think they could have done it better. They could have tightened this story up. They definitely could have tightened it up. And I see why people will not like it. Honestly, yeah, I kind of see why people would say, they love it and it's a masterpiece if they're just looking at it for what they were trying to do. And if they feel all those feelings that they were trying to manipulate you into feeling, then I get it. You're going to feel, wow, this game is amazing, okay? Because they didn't really manipulate me into those feelings correctly. Like, I didn't really feel for Abby like that. When I was fighting Ellie as Abby, I wanted Abby to die. I wanted Abby to lose. When I was strangling Ellie as Abby, and it told you to tap square, I stopped tapping square. Tap square for a little bit, and then it looked like Ellie was going to die. I stopped tapping square. I was like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not killing Ellie. Fuck that, cuz. I'd rather Abby die. Yeah. And then, I think Abby got punched or something, and that ended. But yeah, I get what they was trying to do. I get why some people would like it. I get why some people wouldn't like it. I get why this video's been an hour. I want to know your opinions. I want to know what you think of Last of Us 2, because hopefully you've played it. If you've watched all this spoiler version of the video, hopefully you've played it, because I wouldn't want to spoil this for you, because I think it was a good experience, a good attempt at an experience that they were trying to create. And I think more games should experiment with this type of storytelling, but they should do it better. I think it was okay. It was done okay because of those terrible choices that led to those long stretches of gameplay. That was just bad. That was just bad, and people are going to call it out for bad writing, and that's correct. Those parts were bad writing because that character didn't make sense to actually do those things. So that's going to leave a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. And because people are so tied to that Joel character, they're already going to hate Abby and hate having to play as her. So when you make them play as her for 10 hours, which is basically supposed to kind of make you a little bit neutral towards Abby and kind of see where she's coming from and that sort of stuff, I get it. But a lot of people are just going to stick by their feelings and just hate her, especially when she's making decisions that don't make sense for a character, and now you just see that the writer's trying to force this in a certain direction, like season 8 of Game of Thrones. So those are my thoughts. I'm at an hour now, so we're gonna end it. I should probably go bed, but I do want to know your thoughts on Last of Us 2. I am gonna upload this at some point, hopefully get up by Wednesday, by the end of Wednesday, get up and out and see what people think of Last of Us 2. And I'm neither on the outrage bandwagon or on the wow, this game is a masterpiece bandwagon. I think it was alright. I think it could have been better. I think all in all, it was a good story told a bit mediocrely. Yeah, some of the parts were really good, and I did have feelings. I did experience emotions and that sort of stuff. And I did want to know what was going to happen next, and I definitely wanted to see how it was going to end. And I don't know, maybe in a few days I'll be like, oh, that story was whack. Or maybe I'll be like, wow, that was a really thought-provoking story. But I like how they tried to make us see things from different perspectives and see things from the villain's perspective and put us in the actual shoes of the villain. I like that, and I think that's definitely something that should be attempted more. However, I think they kind of fumbled the bag on that one with those terrible choices and it just being far too long. They really should have shortened it up. Maybe I should have shortened up this video. But that's that. I'll see you next time. Let me know what you thought of The Last of Us 2 in the comment section down below. Let me know if you want more of these types of in-depth videos whenever I finish a game, because I doubt I'm going to do like video game reviews or anything like that, because it's just not worth it for me and my goals for the channel. So something like this where I just, put on the camera and do like a bit of a vlog and just share my thoughts and maybe have a discussion with you is something that I'm into doing, and something that's fun, and something that, I hope you enjoy as well. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.